Hello, I'm Rose, welcome back to the channel, and today we're doing a little Valentine's special. We're talking about books for Valentine's Day. Happy Valentine's Day! I'm filming and editing this video on Valentine's Day, so a very lovely happy Valentine's Day to you. If you don't have a special someone in your life, who cares? Have a day for you. Do a bit of self-care. Buy yourself some chocolates. You are worth it. I wanted to do 10 books today for Valentine's Day. We've got poetry, we've obviously got some romance, and some of my favourite books thrown in. To start off, I'm going to share one of my favourite poetry collections. This is Love Her Wild by Atticus. I love poetry by Atticus. They're very romance in nature. They're usually very short. I think I discovered them on Instagram first, which then prompted me to buy the book. I do need to buy more from Atticus, because this is the only book I own, but I have read a lot of their poetry online. This book also comes with illustrations and photographs. It's all in black and white, as we can see here. Nobody knows who Atticus is, so this says a collection of new and beloved poems from Instagram's most mysterious poet, Atticus. And then just a quote here which I think sums up the book really well is, whether you're in love, heartbroken, or simply enjoying life, we can all agree that these words profoundly stir our very souls. And here's one. I've just been flicking through a poem trying to find one for Valentine's Day. I've chosen this one. I think it's beautiful, the way you sparkle when you talk about the things you love. I love that. I love hearing people talk about things they love and their passions, and I think it is true, we do come alive when we talk about those things we love. So do keep on doing that. Sorry if the camera angle has changed. My battery died, so I've just ran up 2 flights of stairs to get a battery, put a new one in. Now I need a moment because I'm unfit and out of breath. Also, can we take a moment to appreciate the new jumper I'm living in, because I absolutely love it. It's so cosy, but because I've ran up the stairs, I'm now a bit warm. But between you and me, I have nothing on underneath the jumper, so I can't take it off. Okay, too much info, but the next book I want to share is All the Lovers in the Night by Meikyu Kawakami. I love this author. So this book is set in contemporary Tokyo. We follow a freelance proofreader in her 30s. So same age as me, hello 30s. I love a story about a woman in her 30s. You just feel, you know, a connection. So she lives alone and she's unable to form kind of close or meaningful relationships. The only main person she has contact with is someone she works with. She's battling with her aging, how her body's changing, the way she looks. I relate to that. But she does one thing for herself every year at Christmas. She goes to see the Christmas lights at Tokyo, I believe. Yes. And during that, this time, she has a chance encounter with a man. And this encounter awakens something in her, and she starts to confront things from her past. And things that she's buried for such a long time. This is about her breaking out of that small life that she's made for herself, a very comfortable and safe life, dealing with getting older, but also dealing with things from her past. I really enjoyed this book and I really recommend. And yes, I chose it because of the title of All the Lovers in the Night, but there's a lot of self-love in this book, which is wonderful for Valentine's Day. Next book I want to share is a book by Lovelies, who I've read all of her poetry collections, but she's recently started also writing fiction. But I am sharing a poetry collection today because I felt this one was really, what's the word, suitable, that's not the word I'm after, like perfect for Valentine's Day. So I really believe in finding moments to appreciate yourself and self-love and celebrate yourself, and this book is Self-Love for Small Town Girls by Lovelies. Now this is a collection of poetry, and normally she writes romance poetry, but this is, as it says on the title, poetry for us, for yourself, and I love this collection. Okay, this one's titled Inner Child. Ask your inner child, what do you want from me to do for you today? Give them all the time in the world to answer, and then do what they ask. I'll leave that one with you. Next book is a romance book. We have to put a little bit of romance on the TBR, or on my recommended, just not knocking napkins off the radiator, which is next to me. Yes, what was I saying? Romance book. It's Valentine's Day. Have some romance. The Way You Make Me Feel by Maureen Gu. This is a very easy read. It's young adult. We follow 16-year-old Clara Shin. Doesn't take life too seriously, but when she takes one joke too far, her dad sentences to a summer working on his food truck. Not gonna lie, that was the line that sold me, was the food truck. Because if you know me by now, you know I love books set around food. She was meant to be on a vacation with a social media influencer mum who she doesn't see quite a lot. She's always travelling around the world. But yeah, she's ended up stuck in this food truck, which wasn't quite as luxurious. And because she's in this food truck, she's also stuck working with someone that she really doesn't like from her school, called Rose, which, you know, we're not all that bad. But actually they're two find out more about each other whilst working in this very small space of a food truck. So there's a lot of kind of schoolish or college-ish drama in this, as it's young adult and it's following 16-year-olds. There's quite a lot of food references in this, and I love Maureen Gu, so just a quite nice, easy read if you want to feel good on Valentine's Day. The next book I'm going to recommend is a book that I read, I don't know, maybe 10 years ago, and it was when I was just starting to really get back into reading, and this book really helped me get there. I chose it for the cover, but I actually had a really amazing time, and I can still remember what it's about, even though I've only read it once and it was 10 years ago. This is Dreamology by Lucy Keating, and I absolutely love this colour. Love the colour of her, like, unicorn hair. This is about a main character that dreams about a boy. A made-up boy, and they have a really strong connection in her dreams. And one day she sees the guy, I think it might be in class or in the street. She sees the guy that she's been dreaming about, and she's really kind of like, what the hell is going on, because I didn't think this person was real. So we explore this dynamic. She continues to dream about this person, whilst also getting to know them in real life. So they do exist. It's not her imagination. And she's dreamed of this boy ever since she was quite small. So it says in here, they've rode elephants together, had cookie fights, been to art museums, and they've grown together as well throughout the years. So she is very taken aback when she sees Max, her dream boy, in real life. And in this, sometimes the dream blurs with reality, so you're not quite sure if you're reading the reality or the dream, but it's just quite an interesting read. I should give this a reread because it has been at least 10 years since I picked this up. Got to be longer, actually. Maybe even like 15 years. Yeah, I probably should read this again to double check it's as good as I remember. But this is one of the books that really got me back into reading, and again, it's a bit of a romance with a twist. Another book which has a warm place in my heart is Hungry Hearts, and this is edited by Elise Chapman and Caroline Richmond. This is a short story collection about kind of meet cutes that meet over food. So again, lots of food references. I love food. And there's 13 different short stories in here. Again, this is quite a nice, warm, cozy piece of a book for Valentine's Day. One you can pick up, read a short story, read two, read three. So some of these short stories I like more than others, which is usually the way it goes with short stories. But I recommend this one if you too like a good romance story over a little bit of ramen or some cake. The next book I want to recommend is an adult romance called A Lover's Discourse. I'm going to read you the blurb from this because it's quite hard to summarise, because there's a lot of playing with language from two different languages with this book, which is why I found it really interesting, but also the story is very gripping. A Chinese woman moves from Beijing to London for a doctoral programme and to start over, just as the Brexit campaign reaches fever pitch. Isolated and lonely in a Britain increasingly hostile to foreigners, she meets a landscape architect and the two begin to build their future together. Playing with language and the cultural chasms that our narrator encounters as she settles into her new life, the lovers must navigate their differences and their romance whether on their unmoored houseboat or in a cramped apartment in East London. Suffused with a wonderful sense of humour, this intimate novel asks what it means to make a home and a family in a new land. So as you can see, there's quite a lot of themes there. Also, I read this book when I was living on a narrowboat and they lived on a narrowboat together, and I really enjoyed that experience of that kind of shared. It's very different living on a narrowboat. It sounds very romantic and lovely, and lots of it is, but also there's lots of challenges that come with living in such a small space with someone. So I did enjoy that element personally as well, reading this. But yeah, I really recommend this. I love the language elements and almost the translation, or where the connection gets lost in translation, where there's words for a feeling in one language but it doesn't translate to another. It looks about those kind of little moments as well. But yes, really enjoyed this, and there's two very strong, powerful main characters in this book. The next book I'm recommending because of the title, but it's definitely not a romance novel. However, it's gripping and I loved it and I couldn't put it down, and I am waiting to read more from this author. It's Gun Love by Jennifer Clement. I'm going to read you the novel. I'm not going to read you the novel. That would be here all day at least. I'm going to read you the blurb again for this one. So Pearl's mother took her away from her family just weeks after she was born and drove off to Central Florida, determined to begin a new life for herself and her daughter, in the parking lot next to a trailer park. Despite their hardships, Margot and Pearl both adjust to life, making friends with the residents of the trailers and creating a deep connection to each other. Life on the edge of a Florida trailer park is strange enough, but when Pastor Rex's Guns for God program brings Eli Redmond to town, Pearl's world is upended. She finds herself surrounded by guns and the threat of violence is always looming. Dirty money, adult love, and the vulnerability of a fringe community explode one morning to tragic effect, and Pearl is forced to build some new happiness for herself from the chaotic rubble left behind. So yes, we follow a mum and daughter that live in a car for quite a long time. They're very vulnerable, they're very at risk, but also we look at really strong friendships and connections, that kind of newfound family who aren't your family but become your family because of why you're together. A deeply moving novel, and I couldn't put it down. And a book for me, when I can't put it down, is always a 5-star read. And all you want to do is read until you get to the end. That's what this book did for me, and I really recommend it. Okay, very different vein. Another book I want to recommend is Heartless by Marissa Meyer. If you like Alice in Wonderland or the kind of darker tales of Alice in Wonderland, you might like this, because in this one, the Queen of Hearts is the main character. We go before the tale of Alice in Wonderland, so long before Alice finds Wonderland. So before she fell down that rabbit hole, before the roses were painted red, we visit the Queen of Hearts and why she's like she is today. This is a romance novel with a dark elements into it, so this is really character building for the Queen of Hearts and potentially why she's known for being so cold today. So what happened to her to make her the way she is, and I really enjoyed giving this character more depth outside of the Alice in Wonderland novels, and this idea and this author looking at why she might be the way she is. Again, I couldn't put this book down, and I really enjoyed, and it gave me a very different opinion of the Queen of Hearts. So I do recommend this if you like that world of Alice in Wonderland. The very last book I'm going to recommend is a very Valentine's-y book. It's Meet Cute. This is a short story collection. It kind of does what it says on the tin with this one. So we have stories about that moment when you meet someone that you're going to have a romantic relationship. I can't remember how many stories were in this. There were quite a few. And there's some really good romance authors in this. We've got Nina LaCour, we've got Cass Morgan. I love Nina LaCour, that's how I found this book. Julie Murphy, Emily Lord. So yes, there's quite a lot of well-known authors writing about that moment when you meet someone. So I really enjoyed this book. So if you want a bit of a hug of a book, I need to stop saying that term. I need to find another way to describe a cozy, easy read. But I do like hug of a book. It kind of works. This is a really lovely, easy to read short story collection where you can get those chocolates out the box and make your cup of tea and really curl up in the sofa and give this a read. So there are my 10 recommendations for books for Valentine's Day, but I'd love to know what you like to read on Valentine's Day. I'm currently reading The Burning by Laura Bates, and it feels very fitting for Valentine's Day. It's a lot about self-exploration and finding out who you are and how to love yourself whilst dealing with boys and complications during school life. So I feel like I'm going a little bit back in time with that book, but it's a nice easy read. But whatever you're doing today, whether you like Valentine's Day or you don't, I really hope that you have a good day and you do something for yourself today, and remind yourself that you're worth it. So whatever you decide to do today, you are worth it. Until the next time, have a really lovely day, and I'll see you really soon.